Actually, what I'm thinking I'm going to learn today's lesson is about how I can balance the life. For example, how I can balance my professional work with my family work, even with my spiritual work, with my spiritual life, and also even do I give myself time as an individual, my me time. How do I balance the family life, my me time, my professional work? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And to add on to what you said, thank you very much for that. I think it's gotten very tricky working from home, knowing how do you balance between, and maybe I'm speaking for the women. This is a bit biased, but you have the duties at home as a mother, as a wife, maybe even as a grandmother, and then you've got your work there at home, and wondering now how do you balance all that? You want to join in the Zoom sessions, you want to learn, you want to grow, maybe you're doing your career work, you're doing research. And I don't know about men, but I know the challenge when it comes to the women. And I think this is why we need to be able to continuously have these discussions. How are we balancing? How has it been challenges we have faced, and how we have been able to maneuver around them? Samuel, I've seen your back. Karibu sana.
I was actually hearing you. I didn't know what was the problem on my side, but I was hearing all the conversation.
Oh, okay. I think at some point we lost you. So I think you can continue from there.
So, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I hope I'm clear on that side. Sorry for that. And I think Helen has said quite a lot about what we are going to cover today. She has said these slides are going to be a guide to what we are doing. So maybe if you have a question, you can put it on the chat box so that she will manage to bring it on board. So today's topic is a very important topic to each one of us as we talk about work-life balance. And let me just say from the start, we called it work-life balance because this is the topic that, this is the wording that people connect with. This is the wording that will tell what exactly it is, but we'll be talking about an equilibrium. And that's why the sub-topic is about enhancing a healthy equilibrium. Now, the presenter, as you have seen there, my background is statistics, CPA, MSc Entrepreneurship, and currently I work at that platform of Ultimate Excellence Limited, and I'm also currently a student in the counseling world at KIBCO. So,
Samuel, before you go on, I like to ask people this question. I like to normally know when you have switched from, or you have merged. I mean, let me use the word merged. You have merged your career
yes,
or your knowledge in BSc and MSc,
yes.
and now in the counseling field. How has that worked for you? What have you been able to add into counseling from your background in bachelor in the science, in the statistics and science fields?
Okay, I would quickly want to say that, mostly in Kenya, we study for employment, and I think that's the wrong footing because it limits you a lot. Because with the way I deal with people on daily basis, maybe in a business environment, maybe I'm training some stuff somewhere, even maybe a counseling case. Like now, if I get a client who is having financial distress, I find myself better placed, maybe when I'm providing the psycho-education on that particular area. And now what I do, I think having a broader perspective and also having a broader function, it serves me well because you never know who is in your audience. So sometimes you avoid maybe some level of ignorance when you are commenting on some issues. So I think when you see me maybe going back to counseling at this stage, it's because I've realized it's a component that I need in my work. So it has worked well for me. Given a chance, I would still do the same things again. On top of this, I also am in publishing. I work with nano publishers. So that is also an area of my interest. which I don't struggle to do because I'm also an author. So I connect with the many things. So Helen has worked well for me.
Okay, thank you. We can proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we were talking about, we need first to understand what is work and what is life before even we talk about the balance between the two of them. And for me, either I look at it from a Christian background or I look at it from the secular way of life. Work is that thing that occupies you. And work can either be a career, work can either be a job, or work can either be an occupation. Now, what it becomes among the three, it depends on the value that you attach to your job. When we talk about work being a career, you are motivated by the growth in that career, in that particular thing that you do. When you say that work is a job, you are motivated by what you get at the end of the month or at the end of the week. It's the consideration, it is the pay. That is what makes it a job. When you talk about work as a calling, you know, that one is the spiritual perspective. You have a bigger purpose. You can even do it for free. Yes, you get paid, but money is not what matters a lot. So maybe in the chat box you can answer. You ask yourself, among the three, which one am I in? Am I in a career where I'm motivated by my growth? Am I in a job where I'm motivated by what I get in return in form of pay? Or am I in a calling? And that's why you hear this song. Our teachers call, doctors are called. You know, now you ask yourself, what about engineers? Do they call themselves? What about counselors? Are they called? So it's not about a particular profession. It's about you as a person. What value do you attach to it? Every career is a calling. Every job can be a calling. The choice is what value do you attach to it and what motivates you in it. So maybe in the chat box you can tell us, are you in a career, in a job, or in a calling? Then when you come to what is life, okay, generally we also know that life starts when you are born and it ends when you die. And in between there, we have the years that you have lived. And now we ask ourselves, then what is all this life all about? Life is full of many things, but at the end, if you read the book of Ecclesiastes, for those who are Christians, we talk about life is vanity. What does that word mean, vanity? Vanity means that life is a vicious circle. It goes around. There are people who are very rich, but they still wake up very early to work. There are people who are very poor, they get enough sleep. There are people who are poor, they have 7 kids. There are people who are rich, they have only 2 kids. So life is just a circle that you cannot easily understand. Life is mysterious, you know, and the mystery of life is in the uncertainty of life. You never know about tomorrow. That's what makes life life. Otherwise, if you are sure about if I get married, it will not work, then you do not get married. If you knew that you would die next year, you would not buy a plot or start constructing today. If you knew you'd have an accident, you would not buy a car. So life is made life by its uncertainty. So when we understand what work and life is, then we ask ourselves, then what is work-life balance? Before we go to this
Samuel,
now,
I want to come in that point.
yes.
I want people to know Samuel is a person of sciences. So science people, they use science terms. So if you see terms like equilibrium, he has taken us into his world. Number 2, please take a notebook and take a pen, because most of the knowledge, as he said earlier on, is in his mind. I have gone through the slides, and when he's talking about work, job, and calling, you will not see it in the slides. It is more in the head. So as he's sharing, let's put down the notes from in our notebooks, and also the questions in the chat section as well. Just such you don't say there, where was that point or that slide for work or life? The slide, someone just go back. The slides on the slide only has two questions: what is work and what is life? Everything else he said, it is in his head. This is what we call a true PowerPoint, powerful points. So and I've loved the question of what is work and what is life, and let's see how we can continue with the conversation in the chat section. So Samuel.
Okay, thank you, Ellen, for coming in to help me. So yeah, we were talking about what is work-life balance. Remember, I said we are using the word work-life balance because it is the commonly used word. Otherwise, for me, it should be work-life integration or work-life equilibrium. Why are we saying that? Why would we call it that? We would call it that because the state of work-life balance is a state of equilibrium. And what is this equilibrium? It is a point where all these things meet, as we are going to see in our next slide. And that's why down there we are saying work and life cannot be balanced. And that's why I've put an X, a red X there to cancel that balance. You cannot balance work and life because life and work are not on the same level. That's why you cannot compare oranges and mangoes. You cannot compare apples and avocados. So work and life, actually work is part of life, but life is not part of work. So you cannot balance the two. That's why we are talking about an equilibrium, finding this place where you are at peace, not you and your family, but yourself. Because work-life balance, as we are going to see, it's a personal thing. It is you. It's not what other people feel. It is a state of mind. Yours, not others. Not what people tell you that you look balanced. No, it is what you feel. So it is a personal thing. It is something that you need to establish yourself. So it is a state of equilibrium that ensures all productivity of key life components or aspects. And when we go to the next slide, you are going to see that. But this is why we need this openness, and we ask ourselves, then, if we talk about work-life balance, why do you use the word work? It's because most of the times you are at work. Other things become complementary. You know, it's either you are at work or with the family, either at work or in church, either at work or maybe doing something else out. So we try to take work as the starting point, what we call the baseline. So whoever came up with the word is not that they were very wrong, but of course it's not a good wording for the same. So kindly note down there, we are not balancing work and life. We are balancing life with its own components. Then from there we come to this. She said that is the truth. My background is mathematics. So I try to find value in my background and bring it to the social world. When we talk about work-life equilibrium, now you can note we have changed the term. It is an equation where if you take y to be equals to life, then that simple equation, and yet it is simple, but it can be simple or not simple to some people. Some of the x's can be squared, others can be cubed, others can be, you know, in the power of 4, 10, or that, depending on the value that you add to each of them. So y is life, but that life is the total sum of all the components of your life. And for the sake of explaining, I have given an example there. That X can be family. That X can be work. That X can be church. It can be talent. It can be education. You are furthering your studies. You are doing your master's. You are doing your PhD. You know, investments. It can be a side hustle. It can be a relationship. When you are a single, meaning you don't have a family. When you get married, you have a child. So your equilibrium keeps changing, because a single person who is not married and a married person who has children, it is totally different. That's why they cannot operate at the same equilibrium. So it keeps changing with the changes in your life. Maybe you are a leader somewhere, even someone like Helen, when she's organizing this, it's part of the X. Where does Helen possession the X of psychologist for Kenya? Where is it? And now you need to, you can put it also in the chat box. Among the X's, X1, X2, some people only have 2 of them. Either you get them at work or in the family. And that is it, nothing else. They don't have any other thing they do in life. But for some people, they have all these that I've listed here and much more. So where are you? How many are your X's? What is your N? What is your N? And when you understand what is your N, now that's where the realization of how do I need to balance? How do I need to balance all these components? How do I need to balance all these aspects of my life? So the question is, how many do you have? Maybe after this conversation, you need to write the key aspects of your life. You know, for me, I look at myself and I say, I am Samuel. I have relationships to maintain. I have a company to learn. I have some work to do. I have some authorship I'm doing. I'm writing a book. I am a leader in church. I am a leader in this group. I'm a member here. So how do I then balance all these things? And I have a Zoom meeting in the evening. So that's how fast you start. That's why we say it is personal. It is personal. Some people have less, some people have more. The completeness of your life depends on, do you enjoy, do you get the satisfaction from each one of those things that you have? Even the students, they need to practice work-life balance in the new term that we are giving it. Because she is a student, she's supposed to work, she's supposed to maybe even to sleep, all that. And even leisure is part of this as well. So we need to look at it like that. So the question here is, what is your end? If you sit down and you ask yourself, what is your end? How many of these key components do you have in your life? And then which component takes position one, which you can even square? Allow me to give an example here. There are people who don't care about anything else in life, provided their family is working well. Meaning, for them, family is X1, and maybe it is even cubed. For some people, provided they have a job and they have work, from them, that's what matters. They can even leave the family on the side. But what matters to them most is work. So work becomes number one. Some people is their friendship. Some people is maybe their leisure. So we need to really understand this for us to know where we are headed. Helen, I hope you are still together. Yeah, I hope so. We are still together. We go to the next slide. And the next slide is about the myths or misconceptions about work-life balance. One of the misconceptions is that it is between work and life. We have already clarified that. The other misconception, when you talk about a myth or a misconception, is something that looks true, but it's not true. So it is a 50-50 balance. It's not, you know, it is about sharing that time optimally. Some will get more, and it doesn't mean because we value family that family should take number one. It depends on the individual. It is what matters to you, you know. It is what matters to you. People may tell you, why are you leaving work early? Because maybe work is not what matters to you most. So here, it's not about the society's value system. It's about your personal value system. So it is not necessarily a 50-50 balance. Then it means working fewer hours. No, that is not work-life balance. Sometimes you work for more hours and it's okay. And you are still having a work-life balance because you are not doing that forever. So that's another misconception. The other one is it creates conflict, especially between employer and employees when you are trying to achieve this balance. That is another misconception. It doesn't have to create any conflict. It is better in self-employment. This is a big lie. Some people who are in self-employment, because I'm in it, sometimes we lack that work-life balance. Being your own boss doesn't mean that you have achieved work-life balance. It's a very misconceptions. It exists in employment, in self-employment, and at the middle. So you can choose to have it or not. Work-life balance is a choice. So it's not about either you're employed or not. Then it benefits employees more than employer. That one again is not true. Why is it not true? Because when there is work-life balance, there is coexistence. There is better understanding between the employees and the employers, and then the conflicts that we are talking about there, they are minimized. Employees are happy and they are productive. The employer is happy and satisfied. So it doesn't benefit one party more than the other if it is well understood. Then the other misconception is that it can be achieved and maintained. This is a big lie. You will never come to a day that you say, I have finally achieved work-life balance. No, it's a continuous journey. You never achieve it and win it and keep it. It never becomes a trophy. Work-life balance doesn't become a trophy. You continue becoming better. The same way you say you can never say you are learned. You keep learning, provided you are alive. The same way you can say, for me, I be stressed, I will never be stressed again. You keep being stressed, provided you are not in the grave. So the point here is that it cannot be achieved and maintained. It is something you keep achieving. It's a process as we continue seeing. So any question up to there, Helen?
Thank you, Samuel. We're learning a lot, and the slide which was showing y is equals to x, and the number of x's were the issues of life, family, and everything else. Was a very interesting. Yes, that one, work-life equilibrium equation. And I'm seeing someone has a hand raised. VPD 100. Go ahead and make your comment or question. You can unmute VPD 100. You can unmute. Okay, but as we wait for them, someone was asking in the chat, but you clarified that. Are you ranking work and life, so work comes first? And you clarified that. And even the way you're able to bring it out, that it's, though the word work comes first in the topic, and that's how we normally phrase it, doesn't mean that work is the major component or the major aspect, that somehow even actually life is like work is part of life, but normally we somehow think that work is everything and everything falls now under that. But then again, Samuel, it's a good question, but also one which can raise many more questions, because when you think of it, why we even go to school, the typical way, the typical mindset of why we go to school, that you can get a job at some point, and that job or work or career or calling is what you use to be able to sustain your livelihood. So yes, in a way, work is in the life, but work is a very, very important component of our life.
Yes, and that's why we said that why whoever came up with this wording is because work took maybe a major. If you look at some of us, those who are employed as an example, or rather myself when I was an auditor, I remember I could wake up at 5, then I'm at work by 8, then I'm in house at 8 in the evening, meaning I work for 14 hours. Anything related to work. Remember, when you are in a matatu headed to work, that is still part of work. When you are going home and you're in a jam, that is still work, because you are going back. So you look 14 hours out of 24, that is the only time that you are not in house. Then the other time, you are only with the family members, actually for 1 hour. And if you even give yourself only 12 hour average, if you live for 8 hours, 90 years, it means 30 years you are at work continuously. That's how important work is in our life. And that's why we say sometimes you don't have to do forever things that you don't love. Of course, you can do things that you don't love, but for them to take you to the things that you love. Otherwise, you cannot work somewhere and you are complaining every day, then for that years and you retire a miserable person. This is where you have a strategy. How do I overcome this? Because when you're stressed with work, you can be stressed with everything else because it takes most of your time. And as we are going to see, even working from home is not the solution, provided it is work. It's not where you work from. It's not how you get to work. It's about how you operate. Again, because work is worship and work is divine from a Christian perspective, not working is not the solution. That's why most of the teachers currently, now that they are not fully occupied, most of them are frustrated. Most of them are stressed because they are used to working to earn that money. So even as they get the money in their account currently, they don't feel that full satisfaction because it's not about money always. It's also about that enjoyment. So I agree with you. Work takes most of the parts.
Thank you, Samuel. I think we can continue.
Okay, thank you. So then I think among the other most important slides is this one, exploring work-life balance or work-life equilibrium. And I have tried to merge some of the descriptions, and I had already mentioned some of them. When I say it is personal, when I say it's a process, when I say personal, it is that first point. What does work-life balance feed on? It's self-awareness. If you don't have full or well-placed self-awareness, then you may never achieve, or you may never acquire, you may never even enjoy work-life balance. Reason being, it's not about other people. It's about you as an individual. It's about you as the manager. It's about you as the mom. It's about you as the father. So it is on self-awareness. And that's why I drew that question at you. How many of the ends are in your life? How many components of your life are key in your life? When you understand that, that is part of self-awareness. Understanding your personality, understanding your attitudes, understanding how you balance issues, and also having a value system. What is your success ceiling? Because you cannot keep succeeding without enjoying the process. And that's where we make mistakes. Many people are in the journey of life, working for money, working to do things, saving money in the circle and all that, then after 20 years of doing that, you build your house, and then you ask yourself, these 20 years you are doing all that, were you enjoying the fruits of your labor? Or do you wait for the 20 years that you have constructed your house for you to enjoy? So it requires a lot of self-awareness, for 20 years, for 15 years, 10 years, you save money to buy a car. You finally buy the car. Are you telling me all those years you now enjoy the car itself without enjoying the process? So that's why even for after retirement, many companies or many financial consultants will not advise you to construct your own house because you may not enjoy to the fullness. So having this self-awareness, at what stage of my life am I? What matters to me? What is my sense about success? Because we also say success is personal. So what is success to me? It's not what other people call success out there. And also you find those who are blessed with the parents, you realize sometimes you send them 1,000 shillings, they are so much elated. Why? Because that 1,000 means so much to them, not like to you. Because maybe your value system, your success ceiling is quite high, and it's okay to be there, but it's good also to enjoy the fruits along the way of life. Don't wait for the destination for you to evaluate if you enjoy or not. So self-awareness is very important. And that's why you find most of the counselors are able to manage this through self-awareness, through personal development. But when you are not aware of yourself, then it becomes a big issue. We say it's a process because it is not something that you achieve and then you keep it somewhere. It is not something you can be given a certificate on. That's why we don't even have courses on work-life balance. Courses, I mean like a degree or something like that. Because it's like parenting. You never finish parenting, So it is the same. It's a process. It is something that keeps changing, as the other point says. It's a moving target. Now, I gave this example. If today you are a young lady and you are not married, work-life balance can be equated in a different perspective. Then you get into a relationship. It changes because you have to get time for the dates. Then after the dates, you get married. So the responsibility have increased. Then after 9 months, you get a child. The work-life balance changes. Now you are a mother. Then after 3 months, back to work, it also changes. If you are working maybe in Nairobi, then you get transferred to Mombasa, your work-life balance changes because sometimes you spend on traveling. So it is a moving target. It's not something which is static. Then the other point is it derives on objectivity. What do I mean by objectivity? It derives on, rational thinking. It's not about, it doesn't obey rules. Work-life balance obeys beliefs. What do you believe? For example, imagine when you get to work at 7 a.m. in the morning. And then from 7 to 9, you are on WhatsApp. From 7 to 9, you are on Facebook. Yes, you arrived there 2 hours before your other colleagues, but what have you done? What have you achieved? What is the gain? So it is not there. So you find it derives on objectivity. It's not about leaving work at 5. You can leave work at 4 and you have achieved work-life balance. You can leave work at 9 and it's okay because what you are doing, maybe you not now proceed with it tomorrow. But many people think, hey, now it is 4, then you leave the office and so you go home. How come that work starts at 8, work ends at 5? Unless you work in very structured companies like banks, where time to open, time to close is so guarded. Don't have really, for me, I wouldn't feel sorry leaving work at 4:30 if I'm done with what I was doing. But for some people, you leave at 5:30 so that the boss can see you extended, so that the boss can see that you didn't leave early. you know, so that the boss can see you, you come earlier than others. You always arrive at 7, but you're arriving at 7 doing what? What were you doing? Maybe you are just reading the newspaper, maybe filling the Sudoku, and I'm not saying it's bad, but how you are filling the Sudoku in the morning is what is of concern. So the right on objectivity. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about being genuine to yourself. It's about answering the hard questions. What am I achieving in return? Then the other point is about quality, not quantity. You are with your family members for 1 hour and you have given them all that time. That's quality time. Get in their homes at 5, but from 5 to 10, they are on WhatsApp. You know, after news, they go back to WhatsApp. After this time, they go back to this. So you don't even have time maybe to bond with your children well, but you have been there, meaning you are available, but you are not reliable. You are there for a lot of time quantity, but the quality is leaving a lot to be desired. So when we talk about work-life equilibrium, it's not about the quantity. It's not about how many hours you have worked in a week. Some people even work on Saturday, even other people on Sunday. But what is the value? What is the output? What is the optimal productivity that you are gaining out of it? So work-life balance is about quality, not quantity. Of course, there needs to be also an equilibrium between the two, quality and quantity. Otherwise, you don't have to go to work at 8, then you leave at 11, and you say it's about quality. But the truth is, when you even asking for that permission in the afternoon, after you have worked perfectly well in the morning, you don't feel guilty. But some people will even work up to 6, but what were they doing for maybe 3 hours during the day? They were on social media. So it's about quality, not quantity. And I think this is what underlines what exactly work-life balance is all about. So those are some of the aspects of it. And when you understand them, then the exploration essence. The exploration essence. Then we do this, maybe we go to another open session, component work-life balance. Yeah, some of these things where you see I don't package my slides with so much notice because it can take so much time to talk about self. It can take so much time to talk about technology management. But very quickly, so that you can go also research and get more out of it. When we talk about self-management, in work-life equilibrium or balance, you must create this because you have career to manage, you have a relationship to manage, you have a husband to manage, you have children to manage, you have a wife to give time to, you have education maybe to further. You need to manage yourself first before you manage anything else. How do you manage yourself? Are you in authority? No management. Are you in authority? You should be in control of your life. People are not. Many people have no boundaries. So anytime they have so, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but is it affecting us? So are you managing your life well? Then number 2, time management. You know, time is life. And that's why the number of years you have lived is the time you are born, is the time you die minus the time you are born. So time management can now be split into the hours that you lose, into the years that you have lost, into the months that you have lost. How do you manage your time? And one thing that you say about time management is again a personal thing. You have monopoly over your time. No person can waste your time. Actually, when you say you wasted my time, there is nothing like that. It's not true. People cannot misuse your time. People can only help you to use time together with them, but they cannot waste your time. You have monopoly over your time. Understand your time zone. Understand why you do what you do. Prioritize your activities. What is urgent? What is necessary? What is urgent but not necessary? What is necessary, urgent but not important? What are those activities which you can put on the side and you enjoy this flexibility? Because work-life balance is not about having a very strict program, you know, which you cannot adjust. No, I have heard these people who say Saturday is a family day. Who said that one of the Saturdays you cannot do something different? Nothing will change. You know, and the work-life balance is that people, they have this family time. Mimi, Saturday afternoon, I don't do anything else. It's time with my family. No, depending on what has come up, you cannot adjust. And then the other Saturday, you go back to your usual programs. It's not about being strict with yourself. It's about opening yourself to newness and to more opportunities, because that's what life is. Then change management. How do you manage change? You have changed the job, you have become other, you have started further education, you have started writing a book. Many people have not become authors because they don't have time to write. Now it is Corona time. Most people are working from home, having a lot of time which they are not using in the jam and all that, but they have not still written books. Why? It is not about not having time, it's about managing change. Since you started working from home, you have not managed that change. So change management is very, very important. Very, very important. Whenever you adjust, even when you lose your job, manage that change. Yeah. Then stress management, I think this has been talked in this forum many, many times, but stress management is about that dichotomy. What can you control? What can you not control? If something is wrong in your life, is there something you can do? The answer is yes. If the answer is no, then why should you be worried? If the answer is yes, why should you be worried? You should just need to make the change. So that dichotomy of control about the things you can control and the things you cannot control, that is what needs to guide us. Because is stress something we can avoid? No, you cannot avoid stress. The only thing you can do is to manage stress. You can only manage stress. And that's why we don't talk about stress eradication. We talk about stress management. Because everyone is stressed. Even one of you is stressed. Tunamaliza sangapi. In this particular conversation, someone is stressed. Why did Kanja use these colors? Someone is stressed. You know, why not use a different font? You know, stress is something that we have in us. It is the way you manage it. Resource management, sometimes we fail to achieve work-life balance because of the resources we have. Either they are more overwhelming us, or they are little, they are not enough. A good example is if you are using public transport, you lose more time than when you are using your car. If you are using your car, you get jammed, you use more time than when someone is in a matatu and they can walk from Globe to town. So resources, how do you manage them? When do you use your car? When do you choose not to use your car? So all these things, you need to manage them well. Where do you take your children? Where do you live? For example, some people live very far from where their children go for classes or for school. Why should that happen? You know, some people live very far. They are still renting the house, but they still live very far from where they work. Why? So are those reasons better than what would help you achieve work-life balance? Then technology management, I'll give an example here. How do you use the technology that your office has given you? A good example is using Excel. You don't know how to use something called VLOOKUP or maybe HLOOKUP or maybe to do the summation. You can imagine on a very simple document, you can use all your time, the whole day to look at it. But if you know how to use that technology, it helps you. But many people don't learn this technology in our work. We still operating on manual basis. I think where you work, can you ask yourself, how can technology play to help me manage this work-life balance, acquire this work-life balance? Like those people are accountants, those who are working in other areas, how then do you use things like Excel? You know, email, how do you use email? When do you use email? You know, you can connect the office mail with maybe your other emails so that you can read them and respond, maybe when you're not in the office. It helps you, especially if you are the boss or something like that. You don't have to wait on Monday for you to go and all emails. So, and again, working from home doesn't make you unstable in terms of balance. You take it. The last one is about leisure management. You know, leisure here, you combine it with sleep. Do you sleep? You know, because many people are stressed, many people are not happy in life just because of one thing. They don't make their body rest. The same way you take a car for servicing, you don't take your body for servicing. You know, you don't relax. You don't get enough sleep. You know, and this is where animals do better than us. Animals sleep naturally, you know, and that's why you find most of them during the day, they are very active, or at night, they are very active. But for us human beings, we want to work during the day, we also want to work at night. You know, you don't argue, most of us, we would choose not to sleep. And why did God give us sleep? Actually, one of the recommendations of those who are sick with corona is to have enough sleep. Why? For the body to relax and you get back to your good health. So I think the issue of leisure, active leisure or passive leisure is something we need to take seriously, and sleep. I think it's good to balance that. So Helen, are you there?
Yes, I am here, Samuel, and following the discussion and conversation very seriously, that animals take sleep more seriously than we do. There's a comment I saw, and it was an interesting one. Someone was saying, we need not consider work-life balance in terms of a scale, seesaw, but in terms of a big ball or a wheel. I use the wheel of life when handling clients with issues related to work-life balance. This way you will be aware of the area in their lives that may need extra effort to bring a balance. Thank you, Milian, for that. And so I think for me, what I've seen is that there are many ways of looking at some of these things in counseling. There are many tools we have. There are many forms we have of addressing an issue, but looking at the functionality, how are you able to address the issue? As long as, for me, I think as long as the client is able, you're able to help them in one way or the other. It could be, for me, what might work well might be seesaw. Someone else might be that circular wheel. Someone else might use like a diamond, something with many angles. So I think the concern for me would be, is it functional for the client? Are they able to understand? So I think that is it from me. I'm seeing another comment here. We send our children away so that we can spend time alone, away from them. We need to be healthy psychologically to be able to take care of them. Leisure is one thing we take seriously. Okay, this is an interesting one. I think I'll get more feedback from the bosses on that one. Yes.
Yeah, you see, Ellen, I get to comment. The first one, I'm in agreement with that. In my presentation, there is nowhere we talked about using the seesaw. Actually, I put an X on it because it's the wrong way of looking at it. It's actually misleading. That's why I put a red X on it. So we are actually using, even the wheel is not still very comprehensive, but at least the wheel is better in the counseling terms to use it to show someone where you are missing. But remember, we only focused on the key components. And even in counseling, we focus on the key components to show the work-life balance. But remember, this person may not mention to you something which is not very key, but is still very important in their life. So I agree with you, different approach, but is it effective and is it efficient? So it depends on the grounds you are looking at it. The one who talked about sending the kids away, I didn't mean schools. I meant if you are living, for example, in Vika, why would you expect the children maybe to come to school maybe, in Nairobi town, for example? Maybe you are living in Mombasa Road, along Mombasa Road, and then maybe they are schooling that. The quality of the school. So you need to ask yourself, am I living very far from my amenities, the social amenities? Am I living very far from where I work? And maybe it's not my house which I've built. So it was not about the boarding school, it was about maybe 4 a.m. so that they get to school by 8 or by 7:30. Maybe those are some of the things at the personal level, because me as Mr. Kanja, I cannot you where to the students for schooling. About why do I do that? Do it consciously. I'm taking them to this school, which is quite far, because of 1, 2, 3 things, not because I think that's in order. Let's proceed. Yeah, then we want me is that
we are losing you at some point. It's as if you're breaking.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but there's some breakage on your side. We can't hear you very, very well. But I think because we are continue so that we are able to we'll be able to ask where we missed.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, so the issue of the values, I think whatever participating good to
Samuel, we can't hear you. Okay, I think we've lost him. Okay, the bosses, and I think this is good to clarify. When I read your comments, we send our children away so that we can spend time alone away from them. I see someone is back. We need to be healthy psychologically to be able to take care of them. Leisure is one thing. So for me, how I understood, maybe they'll clarify this. I understood that at some point as a parent or as parents, it's important for you to be able to have some time separate from your children to be able to, is it to refresh or something like that? That's
Yes.
how I understand.
You got it right. That's what I meant actually. Because sometimes when you have them around, you're from work, you are tired, you come home, they're there, they're bothering you, and you need your time to be able to take care of them. So it's something that we just decided with our friends also. Whatever time they come to our place, we stay with their children as they have their time. So this week it was our time to take our kids away so that we can spend time alone, just away from them and the nagging and the questioning and finding out who did this. Then everybody's like, it's not me, you know. Sometimes you just need the time alone to bounce back so that you can take care of them. You are right in the way you just described it.
Thank you, Carol. And I think I love your authenticity and your genuineness at times. And I know mostly during this period where we have been confined with our children, it's very easy to feel you need to have some time where they're in a separate place. And even being out of that is, I think, self-management, knowing that I think at some point we'll need to have them away from us. And even the children also need some time away from their parents.
Yeah, because when they are away, also they get to appreciate what you give them. Because sometimes when you're with them, they're always complaining, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So when they go and see other places and they're like, okay, what you have at home is probably what we need to appreciate our parents, that they're doing a lot, because it's never the same everywhere else. So they get to also to understand that every person has every house have different rules, and every person has different temperament. So the way they'll be disciplined at my sister's place where they are is different from our place, you know. So it also gives them time to also to be pampered, because here we not pamper them as much. But when they go away to my sister's place, they are like, oh no, they're pampered. So at times when for them it is good to feel like as if they're important. We as parents ignore this sometimes. We get tired, we come back home, we yell at them, and they feel like, I don't belong in this home. So once in a while, if they go somewhere where they feel, this kind of a different environment, it's also good for them.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for that. And I really like your genuineness. And honestly, at some point, you're just tired. It might now be you acting up towards the children, and even unaware that that's what's happening, and the children can really personalize it. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, Samuel, I see you're back. We can wind up with yes, we can wind up.
Okay, so I don't know what's happening because I'm still connected. I'm sorry for that. So the values that we were talking about is the responsibility. I hope you can hear me, Helen.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so responsibility, we were talking about when anything is happening right in your life, it means you have a role that you played. And also when things are going wrong, there's something that you did. But maybe if you don't want to achieve work-life balance, then one thing you should miss is responsibility. Taking blame first before you blame any other person. Sometimes we complain about our bosses, we complain about our working schedules. Maybe before we do that, we should ask ourselves, where is my responsibility? You may not see it, but in truth, it's your choice even to work in that company. So actually, you are the one who should be blamed first for that. The other value is excellence. Work-life balance, we say that is centered on quality, not necessarily quantity. And that's why in everything that you do, give your with giving your best that you rule out any regrets. Then the other one is doing things with a purpose, being purposeful, like what one of the listeners is talking about. You take kids away, where you do the things that you do, where you have a family time at this time, doing things with a purpose. And for you to do things with a purpose, it's answering the question, why? why do I do this? Or why don't I do it? When you are doing things with a purpose, even if they are straining, even if you are struggling, at least you get encouraged that you know the why. The same way when you are saving money to buy something, you don't feel the pinch of that saving because you know why you are doing it. But when you do things without a purpose, then you may struggle with many other things. Then assertiveness, the power to say no, the power to say yes, the power to stand on your principles, on your values. We need to be assertive so that our boundaries are respected, not because we command that, but because we have trained ourselves to be that way. Assertiveness is a great value. And young people, for the children that you have, train them to be confident. They may have everything else, but if they are not confident, then you may lose them along the way because the world is a bit uncouth and also very ruthless. So teach them assertiveness, which is also confidence or fortitude. Then the other one is timeliness. We have talked about time management, learning to keep time, learning to respect time, not only your time, but only the time of other people. Remember, you have the monopoly of time. Then patience, learn to wait. You know, not everything happens instantly. It's a process. It's something that can take a few, maybe weeks, months, maybe to achieve a certain responsibility or task. So it's good to be patient, even with other people, even with your bosses. Sometimes just give them time to change their behavior, give them time to change the way they do things, give them time to improve the system and all that. Then decisiveness, if you are indecisive, then you may not do many other things. You may not accomplish some activities. So it's good to be decisive in your various components of life, how to handle the family, how to handle work, how to handle your skills, how to develop yourself as a person. Because most of the people, what they do, we are developing our children, we are developing our relationships, we are developing our work, but we forget ourselves. So when any of that is removed from our life, we remain like an empty shell. And that's what many people are going through. You have lost a job, nothing remains. Even when you lose a job, you should still remain. Without a job, I'm still Kanja. Without a job, without a family, you are still that person that you are. So I think it's good to really understand what is your position. So grow yourself and develop yourself. Then the other one is discipline, because without discipline, you may struggle to do any of these things because you need that discipline a lot. Then the next slide, as we wind up, is some of the things that I would propose that when you want to achieve a work-life balance, that we stop or we quit. Number one is doubting ourselves. Self-doubt sometimes will make you not accomplish or do what you are supposed to do. So it would be easier for you to walk without carrying that self-doubt and you reach your goal. So that's just an image. Let's not spend all our time there. Then the other one is complaining. Stop complaining about everything. Stop complaining about your job, your family, your resources, you know, complaining strictly about everything, becoming a perennial complainer. Nothing makes good to you. Nothing gives you joy. Remember, the ultimate goal of work-life balance is for you to be satisfied and for you to enjoy the ways of life, or the way of life as you get to your destination. But if you keep complaining about everything, you may not get anything to make you smile. You may not get to a moment of appreciation. So let's learn sometimes to be contented with what we have, even if we are not comfortable. There's a big difference between comfort and contentment. Sometimes you can be contented, but you are not comfortable. Sometimes you can be comfortable, but you are not contented. So you need to choose which one comes first. Of course, it should be contentment. Then the other one is quit mediocrity. Mediocrity is having an empty head, and an empty head is the way you think, the attitude that you have. And I would really encourage people, if you can train yourself to be reading, they don't have to be books, even newspapers, even content online, wherever you can get materials to read, or even attending sessions like these ones. It's very important because you can see an empty head will make a lot of noise. It denies you composure. It denies you that sober thinking, rational thinking. And when you know so much about a particular area, it's very easy for you to manage. It's very easy for you to manage your work-life equilibrium. But many people, we only know one area of our life. You are a counselor, you know nothing else. You only know about counseling. Anything beyond counseling, you are not there. You are an accountant. Beyond accounting, you cannot hold a sober conversation with someone because you just know the basics about one area of your life. I think we need to shift from getting knowledge only which serves our careers. Get knowledge which is right, sometimes knowledge that contradict your beliefs, so that you can keep questioning your belief system. You continue questioning your value system. But if the same way you are thinking, even in matters religion, matters work, matters personal growth, is the same way you are thinking now when maybe it is 15 years later, then there may be no expose yourself to different thinking so that you can think outside the box as if there's no box, or maybe in another box. Yeah, so let's hope this thing will play. It's a very short video about what work-life balance can do if it's not achieved. I hope you can see it. There's no sound. Just have a look at it. Yes. So I hope you have seen it or you have watched it. Have you?
Yes, Samuel, we have seen.
Yes. So in case one doesn't have that work-life equilibrium, sometimes it can lead you to burnout. And before burnout, you lose your identity. You are always busy. But if you look at the productivity, there's nothing to be proud of. You're always busy at work, but even when you're at home, the boss is still making noise to you. You are with the family for many hours, but instead of making things right, you are making them wrong because you have lost the balance. So let's not lose the balance. Let's take things easy and let's learn to manage that. Then the last slide is about emerging issues in the work-life balance. And some of these emerging issues, we have talked about them. So these are things that we can make them topics on any other day. So I will not be explaining like all what it means. But just to mention about working from home, it is not a guarantee that working from home gives you work-life balance. Actually, we have to be very careful. Working from home might actually make us not achieve it. There's some sense of growth that comes when you work away from home. There's some sense of satisfaction that comes when you go around. You know, it is therapeutic being in an office. It is therapeutic being in a matatu, seeing other people and comparing them with yourself. You know, it's like a nature walk. But working from home can be so strenuous. So we need to be very careful. We don't think that this is the new way of life and we think it will set us free. We need to consider, even when you're working from home, have some boundaries, have some timelines, have some way of doing things. Otherwise, it can even make you not achieve your targets. And then you're in collision with your bosses and the people that you work with. Digital schooling and online tasks. Also, this one is something we need to be well equipped with and especially well prepared about. The future of schooling, the future of work, how many online tasks can you complete? The issue of entrepreneurship, which we can also talk about as side hustles. You can imagine you are employed, but you still have another side hustle. You still have other things that you're doing. How do you balance all these? As you look for more money from the side hustle, how is it affecting your growth? How is it affecting your balance? How is it affecting this equilibrium? And then you ask yourself, why am I doing these things? Is it only for the extra coin or for what other reason? So entrepreneurship has brought this aspect where every employed person also has something else they are doing on the side. For some people, they are losing out of it, not money. They are getting money, but losing many other things. And that's why we need to be conscious. The issue of generational gaps, especially at work, the Generation Z, Y, you know, X and all that. So generation are you in, and how do you perceive work? How do you perceive the working life, so that you understand, why am I impatient? Is it because of my generation? The millennials, as they are being called, you know, the Generation Z, how do they look at work? You know, do they appreciate the process, or do they just look at the end product? So this is another area that we need to focus on. Then the other one is job losses. You know, after you have lost your job, where do you start? So do you still need to manage your work-life balance? The answer is yes, because work-life balance is beyond work itself. Then single parenting, this is, I don't know what to call it, but this is something that we have now started seeing, because mothers are not doing it well, not because fathers are not doing it well, not even because of the reasons that are leading us to this, but socially, how it is affecting people, either at work, either the responsibility it puts on people after they leave work. It is not the same way in a family where you have two responsible parents and when you have one parent. There is a way you can support each other. There is a way maybe you can even have someone a shoulder to lean on. This a way you can relax and still the kids are being taken care of. So this single parenting thing, either for the men or for the ladies, is something we need to be very conscious. And if you're a single parent, it's okay, but look at how you can make the best out of it. No matter the circumstances that led you there, let it be part of your equilibrium, so that you don't do very well in your profession, but when you come to your kids, they are all in a mess. Sometimes you miss that end product. So it's good to look at it that way. Then working abroad is another issue that's happening nowadays. We also need to look at it. What are the reasons that would make you work abroad? You know, what are the benefits? So it's good to be very conscious as you take these job offers, either locally or internationally, even if it's our neighboring country. Look at other implications so that you can manage your life in a better way. So I think that happens to be the last slide. So I think it's the last forum, and I think I'll share my contact on the chat box. So I think I can edit the screen share. So Helen, I'm done, and maybe you can respond to any questions that may be there.
Well, thank you very much, Samuel. And did you people just see what Samuel did right there? He ensured that somehow we will keep having him for future sessions. I mean, on so many topics which he has said in the chat. And I was thinking, someone just go back to that slide, the one which had the various topics. And that is a very brilliant, that is a very subtle way of ensuring that we have you and we book you for sessions. And I want to encourage others to have the same culture. That this aggressiveness is important. Working from home, a very true emerging issue. I even mentioned earlier on the beginning. I didn't even know it was here. Digital schooling and online tasks, entrepreneurship, and I'm hoping somewhere we can have this one with you here, and tailoring it to the context of mental health professionals, because yes, just being able to look at I'm a mental health professional. I am not employed, but I want to grow my practice, my counseling business or consultancy. How can I do that? What skills do I need? And I've heard that I've seen you were very resourceful with what you have. So generation gaps, millennials, and most times we only think of them in a negative way, but there's so much we can be able to learn from them. What we call the reverse engineering, learning from those ones who are younger than you, job losses, single parenting, and you brought it out very well, working abroad and its implications. That one is a major one because we have many people who have gone abroad and maybe even left their children here or their spouses here and not had the implications for that. So someone has ensured we will have him for the next couple of months or weeks. And I think we can even, we can even have you for a whole week. Monday, working from home. Tuesday, entrepreneurship. Wednesday, this one. But thank you. I'm just appreciating you, and go to the final slide, which was showing your contact information and what you do. As we take anybody who has any questions or clarifications. Yes. So that is Samuel, Ultimate Excellence Limited, and truly you've done an excellent presentation, unleashing the best in your life. Corporate training, team capacity building, school mentorship programs, individual life coaching, entrepreneurial and career training, leadership and performance training, youth mentorship and empowerment, trainer, life and career coach, trusted mentor, author. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Samuel. I think you're challenging many of us even as we grow our careers. And I think this is now where I'm seeing the entrepreneurship and innovations management coming into play in you in this field. Any questions, people, or any feedback to Samuel?
Yes.
Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Samuel, for the good feedback. We've learned a lot from the talk. We are able now to calculate our work-life balance. Though when we were growing up, we were going to school so that we can get at least some work. But right now, balancing work and life is a bit difficult. But from what you've said, at least now we can calculate and try and balance them. Even